Warning: the stories you're about to hear are real and unscripted. Names have been changed to protect the identities of those involved. Viewer discretion is advised. I remember that school had just got out. I was 16 at the time, and I told my parents I felt like being home alone to prove I could take care of myself. They said, "Andrew, we aren't going to let you be home alone for a night. However, we can come back around 12 a.m. I said, "Okay, it's better than nothing, I suppose." So that was that, and my parents left me some money to order pizza. I ordered a stuffed crust pizza around 7 p.m., and I was told they were experiencing more orders than usual, so it wouldn't arrive until about 8:15, and I told them that's alright. I start playing video games in the living room, so when the pizza gets here I could hear the doorbell. At about 7:45 p.m. I hear the doorbell ring, but I don't recognize the person at the door. The doorbell rings again, but I can still tell it's not the pizza delivery man because the person had on a black sweater and dark blue pants. I stay inside waiting for him to leave, which he does after about 5 minutes. I go back to playing my games, and finally at 8 p.m. the pizza man comes and my doorbell rings. I go outside, and as I'm handing the money to him, I see the same man from earlier just standing towards the end of my street. This was getting a bit too creepy, so I immediately go back inside and lock all my doors and windows. About 20 minutes goes by until he comes and starts knocking on my door. He knew I was home and my heart began to race. At that point I went straight to my room and hoped he would leave. I call my mom, but to no answer. I call my dad, but still no answer. I keep hearing him knock at the door, this time sounding angry like he's trying to break in. I couldn't rely on my mom to answer, so I called the police.
411, what's your emergency?
Some man outside my house keeps knocking on my door and won't leave.
Okay, where are you now?
I'm locked in my room. Please send someone over and hurry.
Okay, please stay with me on the line until police arrive though.
I hear the man at the door yell, "There's no use hiding. I know you're in there. Please, sir, how much longer until the police arrive?"
I've already sent someone over. Based on your location, it should be about 5 more minutes until they arrive.
The man at the door is becoming agitated and yells out, "Alright, I suppose I'm gonna have to use my gun." He starts shooting at my door. This leads him to being able to break the door down. I quickly hide underneath my bed. He breaks down my door, and I'm trying my hardest not to cry or scream. He says in a soft voice, "I know you're in here. Come out and play with me." I see his feet standing right in front of me where I'm hiding, but luckily the police show up right before he's about to look down and see me. He panics and runs out the room. A policeman comes in my room and asks if I'm alright. I tell him yes, but where's that man? The police says, "What man?" It feels like I'm about to faint. I tell him, "The man that was stalking me, the one who broke in my house." "We didn't see anyone." Another officer checks all the rooms in the house and finds out he broke out through the window in my parents' room. Me, already being terrified, this just adds an extra layer on top of the cake. I ask the officer, "Please, will you find him? I can't sleep knowing he's still out there, especially if I'm sleeping alone." He then asks for backup and they begin a search for him. The officer was nice enough to wait for me until my parents got home. I'm drinking some tea, trying to relax, and I offer the officer some pizza too, and we both sit together in my room just waiting it out. A few moments later, I hear a familiar sounding voice on the policeman's radio saying,
Any updates on what's happening?
The officer responds with, "No, but this kid's parents should be home soon." The other officer on the line responds with,
Alrighty, well, time to call off the search for tonight. I'll be there shortly to discuss some other private matters.
He sounded very much like the man who broke into my house. However, I wasn't able to properly verify it was him because of how he sounded on the walkie-talkie. I asked the officer with me, "Excuse me, sir, but was that man here in the area earlier?" And then he responds with, "Well, I can't exactly say where he was. However, I can say he wasn't too far." I'm freaking out a little bit, but I give him the benefit of the doubt. The doorbell rings about 10 minutes later and the officer I heard finally arrives. He introduces himself as Officer Montaro. Because I didn't get to see his face from earlier, I couldn't verify 100% it was the same man, and so I just hold back the fear going on inside my body. My parents get home shortly afterwards, and we all discuss what happened earlier. As the conversation is coming to an end, and all the officers are leaving, Officer Montaro tells me, "Don't you worry about a thing. I'm sure whichever man did this is not stupid enough to come back tonight now that your parents are home." In my head I'm thinking, why would he mention my parents at all? Couldn't he have just ended it at, "He's not stupid enough to come back tonight"? "See you later, Andrew," says Montaro. I didn't like how he said that. I was at least 99% sure he was in fact the man from earlier, and it just started freaking me out even more. Thankfully, we were in the process of moving, and so the 3 months it took to get out of our current home and into our new one, I didn't see Officer Montaro at all. I was happy that it was all over with, but I'll never know for sure if he was truly the man behind it all.